that's really when you see the change.
Correct.
When you change as a parent. We build in so many breaks into our day. We do so much for ourselves, but we just have different expectations for our kids. We're constantly like taking a coffee break, taking a nap when we need to, scrolling on Instagram when we want to, anything to switch off. But if our child is switching off, it's like, no, they need to be productive. They need to be doing
Yeah.
something. Kids learn through co-regulations. If the parent
Yeah.
is not regulated, the child is not going to be.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
But it's interesting you say that because we came with the problem that we had. Isha identified my dysregulation.
and I mean, I only think back to when I was in school. How many of us would have benefited from some
Yeah.
form of therapy?
Yeah.
Which we didn't
really.
have because at that point, I think therapy only dealt with, kids who had, like significant disabilities.
Correct.
Mama.
Please stop. Welcome to the Motherlords.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Motherlords, the podcast where three friends get together to talk about all the nonsense and chaos that goes with parenting. We're your hosts. I'm Ria, mother to two girls who are 5 and 2.
I'm Alicia, mom to a 5-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy.
And I'm Hina, mum to two 5-year-old boys.
And today's episode is a really special, deeply personal one for us. It's about therapy for your kids. And it's not just the kind of therapy that you think about where you're lying on a couch and speaking to Oprah. So, this episode is about all the therapy that's available to us for our kids, like speech therapy, behavioral therapy, occupational therapy, all the ways that we can help them.
And obviously, it sounds serious, but it's not. We're talking about therapy through play. And joining us, we have Merzia Maskati. She's the expert speech therapist and the founder of SDLC, someone that we've all interacted with a lot in our parenting journey. Something personal, just from my perspective, is that one of my boys at about 2.5 had developed a little bit of a and now I can't even use the word stammer, but a little bit of a stammer. And obviously, I reached out to you, and you guys have been instrumental in helping him. We've done therapy at SDLC for, I think, 2.5, almost 3 years. And we did speech and occupation side by side, and he's blossoming. So thank you for that, Merzia. But yeah, we've, individually come to you. So this is amazing to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I feel like we've all done therapy with our kids, with you, and I feel like it's made me a better parent. I know because we've had tough moments, and after my daughter's come, she's been a different kid and game changer for us. But wow, what a whole new world for her! So I feel like this is going to be such an eye-opening episode for so many parents. So thank you for being here, and will you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Merzia. I have two daughters. They're 10 and 5. And I started this clinic 17 years ago when I moved back from the US. My whole family is in the medical field. My aunt is an occupational therapist. My mom is a psychologist. My dad, grandfather were eye surgeons. My sister's a dentist. So it's like all in our genes.
Wow.
All around genius family.
It's like the honor roll right
Yeah.
there.
High achievers.
Can you just give me a list of all their numbers? I mean, for our various
Asking
problems.
for a friend.
And my husband was the first one to enter our family and be like from the tech world. And nobody knew really how to talk to him.
Did you all look down on him?
You're an alien from some
Who are
other
you?
place.
And now he fixes like every little computer problem that comes up in the house.
Oh my
So
gosh.
poor guy is dealing with all sorts of like
He's
things.
the computer doctor.
Yes. So yeah, that's where it started.
Amazing. And tell us a little bit about your center.
So it started back in 2008. It was just me. I'd moved back from the US and I wanted to start working. And then slowly over the years, the whole team grew, and now we're 15 of us. We're speech therapists, occupational therapists, and counselors. Yeah, and all of us, we're a full women's team. And
Yay for that.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And actually, one of us lives in Delhi. She used to work with us, got married, moved, and now because of all the virtual sessions that we do, she's still part of our team. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. So for parents who don't know, what are the different kinds of therapy that are there that are available to us to help our kids, to parent our kids better?
So the most obvious ones are there's speech therapy. If there is any sort of speech issue, if your child is not saying certain sounds clearly or not talking enough or has a bit of a stutter, those sorts of things. So speech therapy is quite easy to say, okay, this child may need it. Then there's occupational therapy, which works on a whole lot of things, which is not always very clear to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So the most obvious ones that schools refer kids for occupational therapy is handwriting or attention. These are the two most common ones. But occupational therapists also work on a whole, being well regulated with your sensory system. So they work on feeding, they work on balance, they work on even impulsivity, aggression, all those things. So occupational therapists cover a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then at my clinic, the counselors work using the occupational therapy principles and, with help from the occupational therapist. So they use a lot of sensory support in the things that they do with kids. So that kind of approach really helps because kids don't really like to talk.
Yeah.
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 So a combination of the sensory approach and the emotional bit, that's what the counselors do. So yeah, so that's what we cover.
And your space. It's not like, when I was earlier saying that it's not like the kids sit on a couch and talk to people.
Mhm.
It's a fun space. It's
Yeah.
there are things to play with. It's just like going to a play zone actually.
Yeah.
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 So
Like a
can you just
calm-
elaborate a bit, because I don't think people actually know what therapy looks like for kids, and that's why there's such I think a
gap
taboo.
between
Gap and also apprehension
Yeah.
to seek help.
Yeah.
because
for
you're so
kids,
uncertain
right.
about what it might be, and
Because you feel it's going to be too heavy for the kids to sit and talk about their feelings and their emotions, when obviously that's how we view therapy. But can you tell us a little bit about the way that y'all conduct therapy in SDLC?
So the space where the clinic is very child friendly. There are rock walls, there's a ball pool, there are trampolines, there's a lot of games, lot of toys. So the whole point of this is to make it a child friendly environment so that kids feel, they feel welcome, they feel comfortable, and they don't feel like they're put on the spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the whole purpose when we do therapy is to first get the child feel comfortable and feel regulated so that they open up. We have got feedback very honestly from some people that we only play games and we don't do actual real work. Honestly, we've got this feedback. And
People don't know what they're
People-
talking
yeah.
about.
exactly. So because if a child's not well regulated and they're not enjoying themselves, they're never going to open up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
getting them to sit across the table and chair and be like, I heard this happened, now you tell me,
Yeah.
it's not going to
It's
work.
not-
Correct.
Yeah.
And even if you
So,
ask a
yeah.
child a question directly, they're not going to
Gonna
say
answer.
oh yes, this is what I feel and this is
Yeah.
how
Exactly.
I mean,
you know.
I can't open up to someone if I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
So imagine a
Exactly.
kid, yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not just that, right? It's also the age of the child, right? Because I remember when we started with speech and occupation therapy,
Yeah.
I mean, he was 2.5.
Yeah.
At 2.5,
what are
it's
you
not like
expressing?
he can, answer questions as to why he's here, what he's doing. I mean, for him, it was a play date.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
He was literally doing a play date. And
And during the play date, they're talking to you, so they're getting you
Exactly.
to open up when you don't even realize that you're saying
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
journey is so beautiful because I remember early on when he started and, we came for speech and the therapist that he was working with came to the conclusion that it wasn't a speech disability or anything.
Correct.
It was more driven by feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious. And so she works side by side with the occupation therapist as well. And his journey at SDLC, when he finished now at 5.5, he knew exactly what he was coming for. He
Yeah.
knew what he was working. And so it's such a beautiful journey as to how y'all got him so comfortable to understand what is he getting out of this.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
excellent.
my older one had a very traumatic incident happen to her in school where one of her teachers hit her, and it caused a lot of stress and anxiety, which came out physically. It didn't. She
Mhm.
didn't know obviously what she was feeling, and I didn't know what she was feeling, and because she couldn't like express herself, right? And then and it came out, and these guys were already coming to you, so I got the contact.
Yeah.
As we hope to help all you people out there. And then I came to you and we started our journey with Isha, and it was so beautiful the way she made her open up about what had happened, because she wouldn't even talk to me about it
Right.
completely. She wouldn't tell me the incident, how it affected her, what she felt, and understanding her feelings, understanding what's okay, not okay, good touch, bad touch, all of that through books, through play. It was a magical journey. Like, it was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with my older one, I think, I mean, she was very tactile. She had a lot of
Mm.
sensory and anxiety issues. But even then, I didn't really know till it was, doctor advised to start. And so, I mean, that's when we came to you guys. But for other parents, I mean, supposing it isn't, and how do parents know when they should consider
Yeah.
therapy?
So the when usually comes a lot from school.
Okay.
Schools refer, tell parents a lot because they also see a whole classroom of children. So
Right.
they are, it's easier for them to tell when
Mm.
someone's having trouble with something.
Correct.
So school teachers tell parents a lot.
Okay.
That's one. Sometimes parents themselves feel like something,
Something's off.
is
Something's
off or
up,
needs
yeah.
to be worked on or something like that. Then they'll check with their pediatrician. And that's how. Sometimes they'll check with friends, and
Yeah.
that's how. But yeah, most often, even when teachers say, parents already know.
Yeah,
Mm.
you're
You
sort of
know.
just confirming that
Yeah.
voice in your
Sometimes you
head.
just wait to see, okay, is this going to kind of sort
Sort
itself
it
out?
out.
But are there any
Uh,
particular signs that one should look out for, like with kids,
Yeah.
where, they can come and they can
Maybe
have a
some
chat with
really
you?
obvious red flags.
So, obvious red flags are so different across all the disciplines.
Mm.
But in terms of like speech, like I said, that's quite easy because it's, if the speech is not sounding like other kids of that age, then, you should get help. With occupational therapy, a lot of it comes from school because it's the attention in a group, or it's the handwriting, or it's the restlessness overall, that sort of thing. But also occupational therapy at home, if you notice, by a certain age, if a child is not able to do certain things themselves, then that's something to
Like
kind of,
gross motor
like
development.
like
Right.
button and zip
Got
and
it.
Got
pull
it.
on their clothes and those sorts of things, feed themselves.
Ah.
They may choose not to, but
Yeah.
as long
But
as they
the
have the
ability.
ability to do it.
Right, right.
But so that's with occupational therapy. With the counseling bit, with the social emotional bit, that's very hard to kind of know when you should seek help. I feel, I mean, the way I see it is, if I'm struggling with my child, which I have many times, then you should just reach out.
And see if it's something deeper.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I feel like when you are struggling with your child, you get into this sort of whole negative cycle. You're
Yeah.
yelling, then you don't want to yell, then
Yeah.
this whole
Yeah.
sort of cycle sets
Correct.
in.
True.
And then, then you read, then you kind of want to be a better parent, but then, what you're reading
you
and
don't
doing
really
is not
know, yeah.
working. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
you've tried all that, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's a good time to like get help.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there a formal assessment when kids come in? How do you,
So
I mean,
a
how do you
formal
observe?
so for speech, for occupational therapy, we do an assessment.
Okay.
So like, for example, like speech, like say they're not saying the R sound.
Hmm.
So we'll go through all the sounds that they're supposed to be saying, but each sound develops at a different age. So
Okay.
that's why R comes like after 4.5. So if I have a 3-year-old, I'll go through all the sounds, but then if it was just R, I wouldn't work on it then. I would
Got
say,
it.
come back,
Got it.
and
Yeah.
we'll see after 2 years.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
Got it.
Okay.
so we assess. And same with occupational therapy, we assess because Many times they'll say, the grip and the pressure and all, but sometimes it's age appropriate.
Yeah.
So you wait to see whether you need to work on it or wait. With the emotional bit, it's harder. So
Yeah.
there's no sort of formal assessment because no person's the same. There are no developmental norms.
Right.
There's no such thing as you should be X, Y, and Z by a certain age.
Yeah.
I still
So-
have trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just if the parents are having a hard time, then you work on it because it needs to be worked on.
It should be something to look at.
Yeah. So, and it's something that you work on with the parents, with the child, because kids learn through co-regulation. So if the parent
Yeah.
is not regulated, the child is not going to be.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
But
Um,
it's interesting you say that because we came with the problem that we had,
yeah.
and Isha identified because we did emotional therapy.
Yeah.
Isha identified my dysregulation.
Just like Hina identified her sleep pattern.
I feel like I there's a lot going on here. This Motherlords is like helping me out. But she recognized my dysregulation. She helped me regulate myself better and therefore regulate my daughter better. And it made me a better parent to be able to do that. And it was just something as simple as, you know what, if y'all are both having a meltdown and it's not working and y'all are fighting, if it's going to take 5 minutes for you need your time to cut off and just put her in front of the TV.
Yeah.
It's okay. Even if it's in the middle of the night, even if it's like, going completely against, it's better than dealing with that negative cycle that you said, that trauma, that drama, that screaming, you're upset, she's not sleeping. Just put her in front of the TV. Go away, calm down, come back.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
she'll sleep.
Yeah,
Right.
there's so much stuff we've learned even with Janvi. There's if something's not happening, get up and move. Just
Don't just keep
Yeah.
doing it.
yeah, don't keep doing
yeah.
it because obviously it's not sinking in.
Correct.
And this other thing that she's taught us to just sort of plug out when she needs to calm down, sit on find a little corner to calm
Yeah.
down, plug in music. It has worked wonders.
And it gives us validation as parents, right? Like, because you know that, okay, I'm doing it, but you're always thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing for myself, for my child? Because you have so much information out there and everyone's saying like, oh, TV is bad for your kid. But in that moment, is that bad for your kid or is the other part of it worse?
Right.
So that's what she helped us see. And that's when I got confidence in myself. And I hope now that my child is better regulated than I am or was.
But what's interesting, and this is why I say as adults, we build in so many breaks into our day. We do so much for ourselves, but we just have different expectations for our kids. We're constantly like, whatever, taking a coffee break, taking a nap when we need to, scrolling on Instagram when we want to, anything to switch off. But if our child is switching off, it's like, no, they need to be productive. They need to be doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So they...
And their
this
world
the-
is so different. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I would come home from school and I would maybe have a snack, watch TV for 10-15 minutes. And
Yeah.
I was with my cycle gone the
Mhm.
entire evening. And there was no like structured classes or
Classes.
structured play or play dates or anything. We were just down with our building friends or people in the society, and we were gone for like, my kids don't have access to that 3-4 hours of play every single
Right.
day.
You know, something that you said to me very, very recently, and I thought that was so good. So my other one now is or has been in occupation therapy, and now the school and you guys are working together and helping him be able to sit and focus and finish a task. And I told you on the phone, I said, but when he does Lego, there can be 10 other kids playing and doing other things, and this kid is hyper focused. He does not get distracted. And you said, isn't it amazing that, we as adults, we get to choose what we want to do, but unfortunately, kids don't have that
yeah.
choice.
Yeah, I remember you said
Yeah,
something very similar to me
yeah.
also.
When you make that shift in parenting, all behavior seems manageable.
Exactly, exactly.
Learned this the very hard way.
So basically, what you're telling us is that we are creating these issues.
No, but
No,
it's
no,
also
that's
it's also we live in a very, very competitive city.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that adds a lot to everything.
Yeah.
Our schools are competitive, our preschools are competitive.
Yeah.
So from an early age, even if as a mom, you are like, okay, I'll relax, but nobody lets you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of naturally happens that we put this much pressure on our kids.
Correct. So tell me something. Say if, a child comes in or a parent comes in for their kid, how do you determine what type of therapy, in terms of discipline or group versus individual, how do you assess that or determine that?
So we always start off with the therapy which is their primary concern.
Okay.
So, if they come with, say, saying attention difficulties in class or something, so we'll start off with occupational therapy always because that's their primary concern.
Got it.
But as we work with the child, and if other things come up, like say a child with attention difficulties, if we feel like, okay, but a lot of it is coming from emotional dysregulation, then we'd recommend we do a little bit of the behavior bit. Or if we feel like, as when we're working with the child, if we feel like, okay, the social communication needs to be worked on, then we do a little bit of speech. So we go with the primary complaint and then we see
And
how
can
it
you
goes.
also maybe give us a little insight into individual therapy versus group therapy and what a parent can expect when their child is doing either or?
So individual is what we usually start with.
Okay.
But we sometimes transition to group when we want skills that we've taught in individual therapy to generalize into, with peers, with, in a larger context. That's when we recommend group. Sometimes with older kids, they don't like to be one-on-one.
Okay.
So if it's an older child with say in occupational therapy or something, we'll do a group just because, say, the group is working on handwriting. So it's okay then, okay, everyone works on handwriting.
Yeah.
So then they
Feels
don't
okay
feel
then.
singled out. Yeah.
Got it.
And I remember with my older one also, she started with individual and then she
Yes.
moved to group. Also because Janvi thought that, this will sort of motivate her to do a little bit more than what I'm asking. If she sees others doing
Correct.
it, then she will also feel like doing it.
Correct.
Where there was a lot of pushback otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do group for a lot of these reasons.
Right. Yeah, we've come
Oh.
a full circle. I think
Yeah.
we started with group, went to individual, and
And
now
then
we're
came
back
back.
at group.
And are parents a part of this process? Like, how does it work? Like, does the parent become involved? Or do they attend therapy with the kids?
So it's we would love for the parents to be involved. That's our ideal.
Not just drop the child off and be like, I'm taking that break.
Yeah. Coffee break with other moms.
It's your problem now, Merzia.
Fix her and give her back to me.
So, yeah. So, I mean, our ideal is involvement. Doesn't have to be session by session,
Right.
just overall involvement.
Correct.
Because that's really when you see the change.
Correct.
When you change as a parent.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really not the child changing. It's when you change as a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd love that. Sometimes we don't get that. So
But what kind of involvement? Like, what should parents do at home? I mean, what do you recommend that maybe a parent should do?
okay, so it varies also according to
Of course, yeah.
issues. So, like, if I take a speech difficulty, say I say a child's not saying R, we don't really need parent involvement in that case. It's something we'll work on. We'll teach the R, we'll give the practice, and we're good to go. So that sort of thing is fine. But say we're taking, and only speech therapy, say we're taking a younger kid who is talking late, and is not talking enough or whatever. So then there's a certain approach we use to encourage more speech. So it's nice if the parent, the nanny, everyone's involved in the session. So because they're with the child so many more hours in the day. So if that same sort of modeling that we're doing is done at home, it makes a big difference. And then the kid picks up that much faster.
Correct.
So with younger children, definitely that really, really helps.
Okay.
Then again, with occupational therapy, if it's something like handwriting and things like that, we don't really need parent involvement. But if it's social emotional stuff, then definitely we need parent
I
involvement.
think I learned how to talk to my kid after sitting in sessions with Janvi. Like both of us, me and my husband.
Yeah. Even Isha gave me like a chart with calm down techniques for like when she got really out of hand to do at home.
Yeah.
And then my husband started using it on me. So the chart is still on our
The whole
refrigerator.
family's on board.
The whole family is involved. It's on the fridge.
Riya, you need to calm down.
Yeah, let's try breathing exercises. Now here's a ball. Throw it on the wall. Throw it on your head.
It's like if one person is going on a diet, the whole family follows it.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, you're right, because I remember when we started speech, a lot of it we were replicating at home, from inputs from Kiran at the time, where she asked us to do like that, that beat talking
Yeah.
in a couple of her sessions where we did the beat talking. In fact, I remember as late as now when he was 5 and he was now with Devlina, and she taught us because he had a little bit of a lisp. And so she would keep telling him that keep the snake behind the cage, which means like your tongue has to be behind. And then he got onto it and he would repeat his own words again and he'd say, oh, I didn't put the snake behind the cage. And it was really cool because we all as a family picked it up. So that was really nice.
But I've seen him, and I've seen him at the beginning when
You've seen the
when
difference.
school started from the very beginning. And I remember we'd be walking out of school together at pickup, and your other one chatter, telling me everything. And maybe towards the end of that year, I had
The first one.
the
as well.
first one come, and also just slowly start talking to me. And I remember feeling so happy. I was like, oh, he's talking to me.
Yeah,
And
he's
so well, like-
become really, really confident, touch wood. I mean, seriously, when I remember when Devlina told me that I think we're good. I think you can take a break. I said, no, I'm not ready to take a break. I don't know if I can leave SDLC, right? I have more anxiety.
Yeah.
But it's such an emotional
It is
moment
such an
now when
emotional
you
moment.
see your kid like
It
actually
is.
become confident or
Yeah.
like gain that, that moment is
And
very
for us,
emotional.
it was very drastic
It's a big
because when he started the stammer, I know you told us it's developmental, it
Correct.
sorts itself
Wait.
out. And then he became mute. Something, maybe the fact that his brother was super chatty at home because he has a twin, that he would think of himself or pitch himself against. And he became mute. For 4 days, he refused to talk to us or talk. And that's when we came and, So for him to now come here is just, it was a very emotional feeling
Yeah.
to,
Big
to be
thing.
done. But, there's still, and I want to get back into asking you this because I think it's really important. There's still so much stigma associated with therapy in general, specifically therapy for kids right now, because you have extended family giving their opinions, or you may have other people, other parents judging you that, oh, something's really wrong with your kid if your kid needs therapy. What, how would you talk to somebody like that, and how would you deassociate that stigma?
So there is a lot of stigma. And I definitely feel like when I meet people and I meet families, I can gauge that quite quickly about who's on board and who's not with the therapy. And sometimes it's very circumstantial. One parent may want to do it and then the other doesn't, or the extended family doesn't want to, and then the kid ends up dropping out. And that happens.
And that happens.
That's unfortunate.
So I mean, honestly, from where I operate, it's very, very important to me that everybody buys into why it's important. So a lot of people come and say, okay, this is what we've heard is the issue, so here is the child. But it's important that everybody gets what we're working on and why. Because you have to have that buy-in. If you don't have that buy-in, then no therapy is 2-3 sessions.
Yeah.
It takes some time. And progress is also slow. Sometimes it happens very quickly, but sometimes it's slow. So you do have to have that patience to see it through. And to be able to see it through, you have to kind of understand why you're doing it. And everybody needs to understand. It cannot just be one family member that gets it.
But is there a way to kind of bring people on board? Like if they aren't, and...
So I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I do talk a lot to families, and try to get them all on board. And I mean, sometimes it happens.
Sometimes
And sometimes it doesn't
politely put.
happen.
Sometimes it does. But it's that sometimes people just want a quicker fix.
Yeah.
And for a lot of these things,
Yeah.
there isn't a quicker
Yeah,
fix.
quick fix to be a human.
I have
So,
seen parents with kids who have not as young as us, maybe
hmm,
older, who have severe, not severe, but even like moderate disabilities, which are clearly obvious, but the parent is in denial. And it makes me wonder, like, why would you not seek help for your child over everything else? Like, that is the first thing you would do, right? I don't know. It's just something that maybe it's just me, but it's just something that's so obvious to me that nothing else matters but the well-being of your child. And there are platforms available, there are centers available now, and this whole taboo of um, mental health. It's like you don't feel there's no stigma in going to a regular doctor or a GP for a regular checkup, right?
hmm,
So why is there a stigma about going to a therapist for a mental checkup? Because it's the same thing.
because it's not visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I think
A
acceptance is
lot
such
of
a big
these
thing.
things are not visible, and because they're not, people don't seek help as much. And then the other thing that happens is sometimes with the little longer term things, people do therapy. And then that therapy kind of stretches for so long that they feel like, okay, now nothing's really happening. So just,
Changing.
let's stop.
Yeah.
Which also I've seen happen. But, that's when it's important to involve everybody
Right.
so that you know what's happening.
Yeah.
So that you feel like there's some purpose to this.
Correct.
Mm.
And do you find, when a child comes to you who's maybe younger and it's a long term, support that you need to provide for the child, that schools frown because you have to disclose these things in applications, right? Do you think that schools maybe frown upon kids who are seeking therapy? And what's the situation? I'm not talking specifically for, our area or our city, but just in general. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it all depends on the school. So larger schools which have, more kids per class, when they do have kids who will need extra support, sometimes they're not able to accommodate those kids because they just don't have that much support in school. And, in a way, I feel like, even it's not good for that child too,
Yeah.
because
Correct.
they're going to get lost.
Yeah.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not going to get the support they need. So that does happen. But otherwise, in other schools where they do have support in school or they're open to it, they don't have any issue with the kids having, therapy
Is
or
that another
been in
reason
therapy.
why parents like ignore their kids' disabilities because they don't want them to be categorized and therefore not get admission? I don't know.
I think sometimes
Sometimes,
also for parents it's just easier, I don't know how to deal with this and maybe it's not a real problem. Shove it
yeah,
under the carpet.
yeah. Let's
No,
just
because of
wait.
the
Let
rat
age
race.
help.
Yeah. A lot
That's
of people
also a
think
main,
age.
yeah.
It'll
That
sort
age is
itself
going
out.
to help. It'll sort itself out.
Yeah, maybe.
He or she will grow out of
Grow out
it.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
This
general.
is just the
But and the thing is, in many cases, it looks like when the child is 8 or 9 that they've dealt with it.
Yeah.
But they
And then
haven't
it
dealt
blows
with
up
it.
in their teenage years.
Oh.
And then no one sees that whole journey.
Right. Because
Uh,
they're just suppressing it. They've learned to
exactly.
mask
They've
it.
learned to mask it.
Yeah.
And I feel those teenage years things blowing up are a lot more scary.
Lot
You'd
harder
rather
to deal with, I would
rather
think.
deal with it when they're younger.
Yeah. And also impacts the confidence of a kid, right? Because I go back to obviously my example because it's easier for me to talk about my own kids. But something that is where one of my boys now, he's doing group occupation therapy and it's not like that, visually he's a very confident kid.
Hmm.
He's great. He does everything. He's meeting all his milestones, but he is not a kid who likes to sit down and do something. And so the concern that, and the school is working with you guys as well, that the concern his teacher has is that he's such a confident kid now. In case he's unable to focus and falls behind, it's going to impact his confidence in a negative way, which I think is something that nobody thinks about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then everyone got yelled at and everyone got pulled up and, all these things. And a lot of people then develop this like dislike for school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I feel like kids should not need to have anymore. They should love going to school.
Yeah.
School should be a place where, that love for learning should never end.
Exactly. So if we can just help them be better adjusted and enjoy learning, then why not?
Why not?
Yeah, completely.
I remember periods where I just put my head down and
I used to hide in the library so that I was severely bullied. So I used to hide in the library so that I wouldn't
come across anyone.
because you had to be quiet in the library, so nobody could come and yell at me there or interact with me. So I mean, school was a whole, like if you, then that's a therapy session for me.
So, but that's what, because people ask me, right? Like, isn't all this just now new? Everyone's just over-diagnosing and doing therapy and all of these things. But it's not new. It's always been there. It's just that we used to mask it and had no option but to go on with life.
Yes.
And now there is an option.
And I think now, and it carries into your adulthood. And I think because maybe personally I have had to deal with that without any resources.
Correct.
I now recognize the value of it for my child, so to catch it early. But it shouldn't be that only people who have, come out of it the other side without help seek help. Everyone should understand the importance of it. That's what I feel.
That's true.
Correct. And, talking about where you said back in the day, maybe the very obvious disabilities, you seeked help. Even now, I mean, you hear this term ADHD thrown around. It's on social media. We Google, there's ChatGPT.
Yeah. I mean, your kid isn't sitting still for 5 minutes.
Right. And you're like, oh my God, is it this? What are the symptoms? What are the... I mean, I'm guilty. I don't know, but I'm guilty, right? I've done that, obviously. So if you... And obviously there are parents and there's a reality of, parents who are dealing with severe ADHD in their kids. But what are maybe some of the red flags that really parents should be thinking about? And that's when they should be like, okay, this requires some serious intervention, as opposed to maybe just general
5-year-old being a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So we have to remind ourselves a lot, of like, okay, what is developmentally appropriate? Because it's all our norms are like all over the place right now, because we're expecting 2 and 3-year-olds to be sitting, which is not developmentally appropriate. So they need to be running around, they need to move. But basically, coming to terms like ADHD, usually you diagnose them after 7 or 8. So when the child has had enough time being in a structured classroom, and if they're having trouble being in that structured classroom, then maybe you seek a diagnosis if you want a diagnosis. If you don't, I mean, you just do therapy, and that's also fine. Either way is fine. Some people want to know, some people don't. Either way is okay. But for 4 and 5-year-olds, they're still figuring out a lot of stuff. It's very early to, say that these are traits of this or traits of that. So sometimes even going from a preschool into a big school, that transition takes a while. Settling into those classrooms takes a while. And all kids are different. There may be kids who sit. There may be kids who don't. There may be, they're all completely different. So, we wouldn't label them so young.
Got it.
Until they've gotten enough years.
So 7 or 8 is basically, developmentally, they should be able to do certain things. That expectation is then, that's how you can then diagnose. Got it. Okay.
And also by 7 or 8, okay, what are their interests? And, because usually kids with ADHD are great at their interests. So, they may be really good at certain subjects and then really not at others.
Yeah.
And is there should people try to diagnose ADHD, or even if you don't know the symptom or recognize the symptoms,
and your child is old enough,
old enough, should you say that, okay, maybe I should just test for it and see so that I'm prepared?
So I'm very pro the label. Because I feel like it removes other negative labels, right? When you put a label of ADHD, autism, any of these things, you're not putting labels of naughty, lazy, rude, any of those other things. So this makes a lot more sense. So I do think it's beneficial to get a diagnosis, and I think it's extremely beneficial to talk to your child about it. so that they know how they're wired. And then they understand as they grow older, because now so many adults are waking up and getting themselves diagnosed.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's nice to know as a kid what your strengths are and what
What your-
our weaknesses are, and how to work with yourself.
Yeah,
how to work with
because
your
once
brain.
you know what your strengths are, I mean, because you're obviously as a kid, when you're not being able to do a lot of stuff that your peers are, you do tend to feel a little singled out
Mhm.
and stick to the wall a
Right.
bit. And then when you recognize what your strengths are and you're focusing on it, your teachers are focusing on it, your parents are focusing on it, I know that kind of shines a light on one part of you, and it
Yeah.
makes you, it builds your confidence.
Of course.
Correct.
I mean, I've seen that
Yeah,
personally with
of
my kids.
course.
So
and normalizing it, not feeling like
something wrong.
Like this is
There's
something
something
wrong.
wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
saying like, okay, yeah, like everyone has a
Yeah,
disability.
and it
Some
just
things,
shifts your perspective as a
Right.
parent
Yeah,
to be like, okay, you're not a naughty kid. You're just dealing with something different neurologically.
you
So-
don't
Exactly.
fit the mold. You just
It's
have
a
to
different
also
wiring
fine, yeah.
system. It's a different operating system.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not a deficient system.
Yeah.
Right. It's not
Oh.
less than.
So then, what is
Yeah.
the test, or how do you do the test?
So, clinical psychologists do the tests. We test also. So we have certain formal, questionnaires and things like that, and then our clinical observations, and you put those two together, and you kind of come up with the
Basically, we
diagnosis.
come to you when the kids turn 7,
It's a long, long
and
one.
then and then you just tell us like, okay, what's up?
Are you asking for yourself?
No.
So, once somebody comes to you, what are some of the goals that you're working towards? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yeah, it is. It is. So goals. So again, like if it's speech, then the goal would be like, say, getting that sound clear, or like with a stutter, okay, you want fluent speech, that sort of thing. But when it comes to things which are not so concrete, our goals are usually if the child is able to effectively function in their learning environment and in their home environment, we're good to go.
Okay.
We don't need to work on every little thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
allowed to be human and not
Yeah,
robots.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if you think like this way, then there are 100 things to work on. I mean, all of us could also work on stuff.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
but
Some more than others.
We have established this.
When you're not
Hard fact.
struggling really anymore. every
exactly,
day.
when you're learning, happily in school and you're well adjusted at home, then that's it.
Well adjusted at home.
For the most part.
Yeah, I
For
was
the
gonna
most
say
part. Not every
relative.
day.
Yeah.
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 Just for the most
For the
part.
most part, yeah. I was thinking
Yeah.
about myself. But even like talking about the most important, that little humans coming every week, is it important to talk to them? Why they're coming every week? And I mean, at what age? I mean, obviously at 2 and 3, they're not going to understand. But maybe when they get a little older, who is this person they're seeing every week? It's not just another class, right?
No,
So
absolutely.
is it important to explain to them, talk to them?
Yeah, we do explain to them why they're coming, what they're working on, even at 3.
Oh,
So,
yeah?
yeah.
And it's sinking
In
in
a
some way.
simpler way,
Ah.
but it is important for them to know what
Yeah.
they're working on,
Correct.
because they are coming to work on something.
Yeah.
So again, that relationship is important between the therapist and the child, and that common goal that they set is very important. And then especially when we work with like tweens and teens and all of them, that is very important. Those goals. Because it has to come from them. If they don't want to work on something, their parents want them to work on it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it has to be what comes from them.
So how do you explain it? It's just an honest conversation.
It's an honest conversation. It's most often we use ourselves as examples a lot. So we do that a lot. That
Okay.
I struggle with this, or I was when I was younger, and these sorts of things. And why
Yeah.
it's important to work on it.
Correct. Yeah, that
makes
really
sense, yeah.
resonates. When someone else is going through it,
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
You don't feel
And
like
that you're
Exactly.
an adult going through it and
Exactly.
admitting to it.
Exactly. So like, sometimes kids will come for eating and just, not wanting to try different foods or just eating very, very limited foods. So it's a very honest conversation, and why is it important? Okay, it's important because every time wherever you go, you may not have exactly what you like.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's try and add 2-3 things to that. We don't have to become like experimental eaters,
Gourmet.
but exactly, just a little bit of, so that's how we kind of, and
Ah.
I also don't like things that are squishy, and I also don't like things that, have a strong smell, whatever. So
Okay.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah. What's the age range of the kids coming to SDLC? What, how early is appropriate, and what's the, I would say, the limit, I guess?
I don't think
Um,
there is a limit.
Yeah, there is no limit.
All therapy would be so much better if we
I
could
know.
just play while
I feel like
while doing
everyone should have
therapy.
access to therapy all the
Yeah.
time.
And like play while
Yeah.
doing therapy.
But when I was studying one sensory integration, actually, that professor was saying, she said, it takes so many years of experience to make it look like play. And, and
Yeah.
that and it's true.
It's true.
If you can play and still get your work done,
Yeah.
and the parent thinks you're just playing,
And
that's actually
That's
a
a
skill.
compliment. That's a
Exactly.
big compliment.
Very big.
You should be proud of
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
everybody. She's the best at what she does.
So yeah, so so the age range is like 1
Okay.
to whatever.
40-year-olds.
40, around 40.
A 40-year-old in pink poncho is going to be knocking on your door.
So now, some real-time therapy.
Okay.
Asking for a, anonymous mom friend
Okay.
who is not present in this room. A completely different person from the one who's talking.
Okay.
So, one of my kids, my younger one. No, this is an anonymous mom friend. One of her kids, the younger one, who has not come to you for therapy, is very different, obviously, from the first
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
And this person, who we don't know who she is, does not know has not wrapped her head around how to handle her strong willingness. Like, she's very strong willed. She's very decisive, and therefore, like, if things don't go a certain way, has the biggest meltdowns. She is very resistant to doing things. And I know that all these are age things also, because she's 2.5.
Hmm.
She's going through the terrible twos. But also, I don't know if that's just related to the age, or if it's also something that I should be aware to seek help on. I mean, this mom friend.
So I mean that is developmentally appropriate
Okay.
to be strong-willed and have it, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
So, and also when it's your second child, it takes a lot to get used to, because your first child's not like that.
Correct.
I mean, it's the same for me. My kids could not be more different.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
God gives you one of each.
exactly.
Yeah. I was going to say, even with twins, they're
Yeah.
fully different. So, yes.
So, I mean, my second child's screaming a lot. My husband's like, I mean, we need to do something about this.
It's glad to know that even the therapists have
Yeah, I
real
was gonna
problems
say.
at home.
The house is so loud because of one person. So,
I feel you. I feel you.
It's usually me in the house. Yeah.
so yeah, so I mean, second child, to still developmentally appropriate.
Okay.
If it goes on, then yes.
Okay. So at
Then
what
get help.
age?
4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. That's fine. I'll be sure to tell this mom friend
Yes.
specifically. And another question from
Hmm.
another mom friend
Mhm.
is that this one's older one has started asking a lot of philosophical questions about, like, things like death, and then getting really stressed out by that and worrying about, like, us dying. I mean, the parents dying. not again me. It's a mom friend. So the parents dying or the grandparents dying, losing loved ones, even like, where is God? Who is God? I want to kill you so that you can go meet God and then tell me who he is and where he lives. How did this planet get formed? And what is beyond this planet? What is in the universe? I'm not equipped to deal with these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that friend is not equipped to deal with these questions.
But death, that's funny you
Yeah,
say
it's
that
quite
because
a-
even my boys have started talking about deaths a little bit
Yeah.
because maybe it's a concept that they're
Yeah.
grasping. And one of them said something like, "Oh, I want to die to see what happens."
Yes.
And that really scared me. And then
Yes.
I obviously, was like, okay,
Some
maybe
sort of
I s-
morbid curiosity
Yeah.
door has
I said
opened
you
up.
will die
So-
eventually. You don't have to die today.
Yeah.
You'll die at the end of your life. Everybody will.
Yeah.
So around this 5, 6 is when they start getting curious about death.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just a developmental thing. This is the age where it happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they've also see and hear it
It's happened in
the
families.
families or friends' family or, whatever. You never know what they hear also in school or could be even a cartoon, but
Yeah.
it still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
brings up death. And it's just one other thing for them. I don't think they think so deeply into it. It's just they're so curious because they don't know what it means.
Hmm.
Like, then what? And what happens? And what happens? My own daughter asked me, but what happens to the body?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where does it go? And so there are a lot of these like questions because it's so abstract and they are just trying to like make sense of it.
Makes sense of it because they really
Yeah.
need something tangible to hold on to, and
Mhm.
then they can figure something out of it.
So
Exactly.
it's normal.
It is very no. I mean, I told her things like going back into the mud, and then she was like picking on, but the mud where in the
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Right.
really need to know
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, like if
So-
I excavate the mud in the
Yes,
garden, will I find a
Yeah,
dead
yeah.
body?
So
Yeah.
so it is just curiosity. It's not so much it's not anything deeper.
Okay.
And I think as parents we get a little worried because they're bringing up death, and it's
Death,
like,
yeah.
okay, are they
Right.
having dark thoughts and are they
Yeah.
having those sorts of things? But it's not.
It's
It's
not.
just curiosity because it's too abstract a concept.
Okay.
Okay, see, this is why everyone needs therapy because, like, you're worrying about this day in and day out, and in just like 3 seconds, you've relieved me.
A
Like,
shift
I'm,
in perspective.
yeah,
in
I just
perspective,
feel like,
yes.
okay, this is normal and it'll pass. Like,
Yeah.
but imagine, like, every day I'm worrying about this because she's stressing about it. The friend is worrying about this. But, this is something that's just given us so much relief to know that
Yeah.
it's absolutely okay at this age, and we wouldn't know that otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really, no, but
Yeah, but really, Merzia, thank you. It's been such an eye opener this whole episode. Thanks for talking to us about all the different kind of therapies and what it means and why it's so important.
An eye opener, even though we've all come to you for
Exactly.
therapy,
Yeah.
even though we've all, had our own like journeys with you and your therapists, and still,
yes.
Yeah.
And the number of times I think in the last 2 years I've messaged the SDLC number. Please, may I have an appointment with Merzia? I need to discuss something with her.
I need to talk about
And
this
like the littlest of things, and she'd be like, it's
Yeah.
okay. And then you give us really good tactics to
Just
to
deal with
overcome
it.
those challenges, which
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
to
Making the world a
examine-
better place, Merzia.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you again, Merzia, for being here, for telling us so many great things. We're going to be putting all the information for Merzia and SDLC in our descriptor. If you feel like you need to seek help, reach out. She and her team are just lovely.
and even if you are unsure whether
Yeah.
you need to seek help,
but
make
you
an
want to
appointment.
ask, you want to
Yeah.
find out, this is somewhere you can.
Yes.
So,
And please put up some of the book recommendations as well. They helped
Yeah.
us a lot. So I'm sure
Absolutely.
that even if nothing else, you can read some books that might help your kids.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, share,
Bye.
subscribe.